Our coverage on Radio Row is brought to you by Peerless Boilers. It's Peerless who builds America's best boilers. And now joining us is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, our good friend from Houston Radio. And that, of course, is the great Ted Johnson. Teddy Johnson, as they would say in Boston.
Up?
How are you? Good
I'm
to
good.
see you.
Zach, man. Dude, when did we meet? Like 4 years ago or 3 years ago? I forget was it New York?
Yes, that's where it was.
I don't think it was New Orleans, but I think it was New York.
No. I did interview you in New Orleans.
Okay, so it was
That's
New
where it
Orleans.
was.
So that's 4 years. And, dude, I've been impressed with you from the first time we met until now, and so it's good to talk to you, buddy. We talk a couple times a year usually.
Yes, we do,
Yeah.
and I'm a free agent. I'm going to be graduating college this upcoming semester, so if you know
Look
your
at you,
program
man.
directors in Houston, tell them to come my way.
Are you kidding me? Of course.
All right.
Are you,
Get
dude,
it
I got
done.
your back.
Okay.
I will tell my PD about you, bud, and that you will get a glowing review. Trust me.
Sounds good. By the way, you still talk to Josh Ennis at all? We had him on a few weeks ago. He loves you, by the way.
Josh is crazy. I haven't talked to Josh in a while. We talk sometimes via Twitter, but you obviously being around Josh, he's like a different
nuts.
cat. Yeah, he's a lot of people call him. He's a radio savant, man. And he has his own style and his own way of doing radio, man, and it resonates with a lot of people. And as you know, it doesn't with a lot of people.
And his dad was Scooby-Doo, right?
He was.
Wasn't he the voice of Scooby-Doo?
He was, yeah. And Josh will tell you, man, it's funny. He used to have like little radio kits in his room. Like he used to act like he was on radio since he was like a little kid. So he was born and bred to be a radio guy.
Ted Johnson is here with us on Radio Row. I got to ask you, because you played for both Parcells and Belichick, what were they like before the big game? What did they say to you leading up the day of or even the day of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, what's funny is both of them are very kind of matter-of-fact, very just, look, there's going to be a lot of time before the game. Make sure you're not peaking at the wrong time. None of them were like rah guys. It's one of those trust your preparation. We did a ton, obviously 2 weeks leading up to the game. And so somebody asked me, like, what's it like, right before the game, 30 minutes before the game, and it's like dead silence. Like all the work is done. The hay's in the barn, and there's nothing else you can do. And so it was very much a calm kind of demeanor. And that's this is what I tell Zach to people all the time. Whenever it comes to a head coach in the NFL, you take your cues from them, okay? If they're showing panic, then you're going to be panicked. So I always describe it like, if you're on a plane and there's like turbulence, and it's the plane is up and down, and people are freaking out. If the flight attendants, Zach, start freaking out, then I'll start freaking out. If they're like calm and cool, I'm like, you know what?
Everything's going to be all
then
right.
I'm going to be okay. So same thing with being a head coach. We take our cues from our head coach like that.
All right, I do have to ask you, because you guys had a lot of success going up against Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts. What made you guys so successful? And I know it's a different Peyton Manning right now, but what advice would you give those Panthers defender going up against him on Sunday?
Zach, you ready for this, man?
Yeah.
The teams I played on against Peyton Manning,
Undefeated,
our record,
right?
7-0, man. 7-0, dude. We never lost to him. The teams I was on, and you know what the formula was for playing him? Was you did not blitz him. You did not blitz him. You'd only rush 3 or 4 at the most. You would flood the zones. Okay, you would bring guys back into the zone. So he didn't have options. He, right, left, middle. He didn't know where to go with the football because there's always coverage there. And the longer he holds the ball, the better it is for your defense because he's not going to take off and run with it, right?
Sure.
And so that's how we defended him. Very basic stuff. And a lot of times we always had 2 high safeties, Zach. We either played cover 2 or cover 4. Always 2 high safeties. So whenever you can play with 2 safeties, it allows your corners to be very aggressive on the receivers. So we beat the crap out of Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison,
until
Brandon
they changed
Stokely,
the rules, right?
Until they changed the rules. Now, my last year was 2004.
Oh, there we
the
go.
year after the year that they changed the rules.
When Polian went crying to the league.
Right. And so we could beat up those guys, and so it was all timing based, right? And so timing was off. But the only way you can play 2 high safeties is if you stop the run, and Edward James was the running back, with 7 guys in the box. You got to be able to stop. It's going to be the same thing. You got to be able to stop that running game with 7 guys, afford you to play 2 deep, and then get after the receivers.
This is a different number 18 now. He's on his way out. He's on the 18th hole.
Yeah.
I think he's going to retire.
To blitz him.
So you blitz him now.
Now the
Sure.
formula is to blitz him. And so more teams are blitzing him now more than ever. And it's shocking to see. But that's almost now the formula, is to put pressure on him. And particularly, you saw the Patriots last week against them. Blitz him up the A-gap. If that offensive line, those guards in that center aren't good protecting him up the middle, then he's not going to be able to avoid the rush. He's going to have problems. So the formula now is different. Now blitz him up the middle in particular, and get him off the spot.
Let's get to the other QB, Cam Superman. If you were going up against him, how do you defend Cam? Because no one's been able to stop him this year. He's been spectacular.
I don't know, man. That's a great question.
He's that good.
Well, the thing that makes him so good is his football IQ is on another level. Like, see, he was just a great athlete, before. He could create plays and with his feet, strong arm. But now he mentally, his football IQ is on another level. He can get his offense in plays, the best plays, but predicated on what the defense is giving him now. So he checks into run plays, he checks into quarterback draws, he checks into quarterback sweeps, and that's going to slow down that pass rush with DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. So if they're just going upfield, like they were against Tom Brady, who's a stationary quarterback, who they knew the running game wasn't going to be effective because they don't have a running game, and an offensive line that was terrible offensive line.
They could have used me and you at offensive
line.
Right,
and so why they had that success.
Sure.
They're not going to have the same success. The offensive line for Carolina is awesome. They are tough. They're physical. They can run the football, and Cam Newton can run as a quarterback, calling these design quarterback run plays. And so it's going to be so much more difficult for those guys to tee off because of those reasons.
Seems like you're leaning towards Carolina in this one.
Yeah, and I know I haven't met one person that picks Denver. I really don't.
That's scary.
You're going to have to convince me. Give me some kind of reason why on offense they'll be able to move the ball on Carolina's defense. Now, the one perceived weakness maybe on this entire team for Carolina is maybe their secondary, other than Josh Norman, their safeties in the other corner. But Payton's not throwing the ball downfield, right? I mean, he just doesn't have the arm, and he doesn't have the guys to get downfield. And the offensive line for Denver can't hold the blocks long enough for him to get the ball downfield. And so I don't think he can exploit that one weakness. How they move the ball, I have no idea. I don't think they can do it. And if they get down at all.
That first quarter is so big.
It's huge. So if they get down at all, Zach, Katie bar the door, man. The game's over because they don't have a fast strike offense.
We're here with Ted Johnson, who joins us on Radio Row right now. Super Bowl 50 between the Carolina Panthers and, of course, the Denver Broncos. For Peyton Manning, you've been a part of that rivalry. This is probably it for him. I know he's not really talking about that this week. How do you remember the player you went up against?
A killer. He's a killer, man. The guy never died. Like, he could throw 3 interceptions, Zach, in the first half and then come back in the second half.
He did that. Didn't he do that against Ty Law? Picked him off 3 times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but and he just doesn't quit. He's the toughest SOB. He never gets discouraged. And I always thought, I always thought we could get to him mentally. I would look over, and after an interception, he'd be like sulking and, have his head down and that bitter beer face that he has going on. And I think, oh, man, we're in his head. He's not coming back. And he always did. So he's a killer. He always came back. The highest competitor of the highest level. And Bill Belichick doesn't have a lot of respect for a lot of people in this profession, except for Peyton Manning, man. He gives him so much respect. If you remember, it was a few years ago, they were playing the Colts, and they went for it on 4th and 2.
Yeah, the Kevin
deep
Falk.
In their own with a 6-point lead in their own territory because they were afraid to give the ball back to Peyton Manning. That's how much respect Bill Belichick has for Peyton Manning.
How much do you second-guess Bill Belichick? Because he's not the most conventional coach in the league, and there's times where this year I was at that Jets game where he takes the ball in overtime, and everyone's saying, "What is he doing?"
Yeah, dude, you're a very astute studier of the game, man. That's a great point. There's some times where you wonder if we win in spite of him because of some of the calls he does and some of the unconventional things he does. Yeah, that's exactly right. But here's the thing: you can't argue results. He wins. He wins championships. So
the greatest coach ever,
right? Ever. So when he does things like that, you're like, "What an idiot! What's he doing?" And he might lose a game doing those things, but the end result is those 4 championship rings. So that's undeniable.
So also with Peyton Manning, and he hasn't had that much success in the postseason. A big part was because of the defenses he went up of that were your teams. Why do you believe that he struggles so much in the postseason? He's gotten to 4 Super Bowls, which is a tremendous accomplishment. But, when you're at that stage of your career, you have to win the big game. And if he loses this game on Sunday, he'd be below 500 in his career.
I got an answer for you, man. I'm glad you asked me that question. You ask great questions. Here's the thing is when you get to the playoffs, you're playing against better defenses, better coordinators, And what happens is with Peyton, a lot of his offense starts to become predictable, right? And that's what Gary Kubiak was trying to do. I think when they brought him in there was to change up some of the stuff they did. He's in shotgun a lot. He can, he likes to spread. You know what he likes to do, and so you can game plan for him better. There's just a more predictable aspect of his game now. He's been running the same offense for years, and so. And if you don't, particularly if you don't have a team that can run the football successfully, it really takes away one of his better weapons is the play action pass. And so if the play action pass isn't working because the running game's not working, you can have an easier time teeing off on him.
Before we get to the stuff that you're promoting, Bill Belichick, when he won his first Super Bowl, was 2001. It was a bad time in our country, and really, you guys with Joe Andruzzi
became America's
and his
team
brothers
for a year, right?
It
yeah,
was just such a special story with Andruzzi's brother up against the Jets. He came running out with the American flag. I always remember that. That was
chills,
a real powerful scene. But no one picked you guys to win the Super Bowl earlier that year, and no one's going to call Carolina an underdog in this game because they're the favorite, but no one here picked them to be in this spot back in September. How much do you guys use that as motivation as players?
Nobody's better than Bill Belichick of using that stuff. I mean, people give athletes too much credit. People are like, oh, does that bulletin board material, does that really work? Somebody saying something about you, that can't really motivate you. Yes, it does. I mean, we're primal beings, man. You're giving us too much credit to think that we don't let that stuff bother us. We're athletes, man, and what drives us is people saying we can't do anything. That's the nature of the professional athlete, is being told you can't do something and proving them wrong. Tom Brady's still ticked off that he was drafted in the 6th round. It's like, get over it, man. You're a millionaire. You're married to a model wife.
But that's not his mentality.
That's not his mentality.
It's always the next one with him.
It is.
I can't wait till he retires, which it's going to be a sad day, but I just want to ask him the one question. Tom, you can't next one me anymore because you're retired. Which Super Bowl was your favorite?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question.
Has to be the first one.
I would love to know what he answered to that.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I think it's the 4th one. I really do. Because the 4th one puts him in an elite category, and also all the crap he had to deal with Deflategate leading up to that game.
Which is a good point, man.
It's either 1 or 4.
It's either 1 or 4. My favorite is my first one. It's usually, I think, what most people say. But I'd be curious to hear his answer. But it's a great point you make, considering all the who thought that he could get to where he was? I mean, with all that Deflategate stuff, and nobody handles drama better than the Patriots, do they? I mean, nobody handles distractions better than the Patriots. Think about the Aaron Hernandez thing. Are you kidding me? Oh. So there's always drama with that team, and they always find a way to overcome it.
And I don't want to hear any more from Aaron Hernandez in prison writing letters. It's enough with him.
Enough already. But it gives you an insight into the psyche of that guy. He's psychotic. I mean, psychotic. It's such a disconnect from reality, man. It's unbelievable. It's sad. It's tragic.
You have to make me one promise. Me and you have to go up to Foxborough next year, and we have to go to a game together.
Okay,
we have to watch some Patriot game.
Dude,
tell me when you're free, and I'll be there.
You would want to chop it. Because you'd want to know the schematics. You want to know the inside.
I also want to meet Tom Brady. I'll be honest
Tom,
with you.
and then you can do that too. But I appreciate people who have a curiosity of the game like that. So I would, if I can make that happen, I'll do it. I'll take my son Charlie with us, and he'd enjoy it.
Be a nice little experience right there. All right, tell us what you're here with today and what you're promoting.
Yeah, I'm here for. I'm representing SareScan. It's the next level brain imaging technology, Zach. Look, I retired because of concussions, and so we're always. Trying to look for the next thing to maybe diagnose CTE in players while they're living. Right now, it's just a post-mortem thing. But this technology at SareScan is kind of the next big thing. It's better than MRIs and CT scans in the fact that it gives you more information about what's going on in your brain. I'll give you an example. CT scans, MRIs, they're like taking a picture of a frame of the house. Okay, that's the information it kind of gives. It only gives part of the picture. With SareScan and the imaging it does, it's like taking a picture of the plumbing of the house. So you can see all the blood flow in your brain, where it's going to your brain, where it's not. And so you can better diagnose what your brain disorder is or where the brain trauma is, and then you can better treat it. So SareScan is awesome. I used it a few years ago and got so much more information, was able to better treat what I'm dealing with. Go to SareScan.com. It's CERESCAN.com.
Always great to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by.
All right, Zach. Pleasure, buddy.
There's Ted Johnson live from Radio Row, Super Bowl 50 between the Panthers and the Broncos. We'll take a quick break and be right back.